Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, editor-in-chief of StockNewsNow.com. Today we're doing an SNNLive Newscast with Stephanie Kushner, President and CEO of Broadwind Energy, Inc. We're speaking via Skype from her headquarters in Cicero, Illinois, which is west of Chicago. Broadwind Energy, Inc. is a publicly traded company with the ticker symbol BWEN on the NASDAQ. Stephanie, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Robert. Good morning.
Good morning to you, too. So let's start first with an overview of Broadwind Energy, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Broadwind is a U.S.-based industrial manufacturer, predominantly in the wind energy space. Our revenue last year was about $200 million. It'll be a little bit less than that this year because of lower steel prices. And what we make, for the most part, is large wind towers, the 300-foot-long towers that are used to support the wind turbines. And then we also have divisions making other heavy steel structures and also gears and gearboxes.
Okay, so it's actually been a while since we spoke. We spoke a little bit earlier this year. So to start off, you touched on it a little bit in your opening. What is going on in the wind industry right now?
It's a great time to be in the wind energy business because there are three very supportive factors right now. So one is on the public policy side. At the federal level, the production tax credit, which is the primary support, was extended at the end of last year extended out for 5 years with a ramp down. So that gives us visibility. That's the first time we've had visibility that long before in the industry. So that's great for planning. And then at the state level, there are lots of initiatives as well, a lot of policy support, things like the state of New York that's introduced legislation to dramatically reduce greenhouse gases, or the state of Oregon, where they're boosting their renewable energy component pretty dramatically over the next several years. So a really good policy backdrop. Then we have emerging growth of commercial and industrial customers. So last year, a third of the power agreements were signed by commercial and industrial. That was a phenomenon that really only started in the last few years. And initially, it was companies, tech companies who were looking for committed power sources for their server farms, for example. But it has spread beyond that. So now chemical companies are doing the same, and then even places like Walmart, or we're seeing it as well in the retail space. So strong demand from the commercial and industrial. And then the third big thing is the costs keep going down, and wind energy continues to become more competitive. Over the last several years, 60% reduction in the cost of wind energy. So that's also supportive. So three big supports make it a great time.
So just to follow up on that real quick, how does that affect Broadwind Energy then?
Well, so the demand for wind and wind turbines in turn generates demand for towers, which is where we step in. And then also for our gearbox business, we sell gears, replacement gears for gearboxes that are up in the installed base of wind towers. So as that installed base grows, we get more business in terms of replacement gears.
Got it. So again, not to remind the audience again, we did speak earlier this year. And since then, the company has posted its first and second quarter financials. Also, you have been officially named the president and CEO of Broadwind Energy, as well as new tower orders. So I wanted to kind of get a summary of, what were some of the highlights then of these previous 6 months?
Sure. Well, at the beginning of the year, I said I was going to focus on three major objectives. One was to double our order intake, and we've blown past that objective actually, because we booked a multi-year tower order that we didn't expect. So we're well beyond that. The second one was to ensure that there was consistent tower production out of both of our facilities. We stumbled fairly seriously last year in our Abilene plant, and we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money, frankly, reinforcing all of our points of failure so that we're doing better job on the supply chain side, better job just with operational inventory control, better job collecting the data real time so we know exactly what we're doing at each production step at every moment. improving our quality specifications, and just continuous improvement initiatives all throughout. So what's happened is that this year we're in the position where we're just slightly ahead of all of our production commitments, which is a very comfortable place to be. And then the third thing that I was focusing on is reducing our expenses. So both our fixed overhead and our SG&A, my commitment was to reduce those expenses by $8 million this year. And at June 30th, we were exactly at $4 million, so we were right on track. And I think we'll probably do better in the second half, because last year, the second half, we were spending extra money dealing with some of those production issues.
Got it. And you mentioned the new tower orders, and I have that you announced over $230 million in new wind tower orders so far in 2016. So what does this mean for your plants in terms of production capacity and for the rest of this year and in the future?
So both plants are sold out through about April of next year. We may actually squeeze in a few extra towers, frankly, because our production is running so well. But for all intents and purposes, sold out. And then really for 3 years out, somewhere between a third and 2/3 of our production is sold. It depends on the customer's requirement in terms of that long-term order that we booked. So we're in a very good position. We haven't had this kind of visibility in a long time.
And also another thing is, you also recently announced in a press release an expansion plan for your Abilene, Texas tower facility. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. The demand in Texas is particularly strong right now. And what we've decided to do is invest about $4 million to expand the tower plant down there. It will effectively give us extra capacity on the paint side and on assembly. And those are really our two bottlenecks. It should add about 50 towers of production capacity, and we should bring it on by about the middle of next year. The other thing that will happen, frankly, is that because we're adding a new paint booth, that's going to give us more flexibility, more operational flexibility, independent of just the capacity benefit.
Okay, so you did mention the industrial gearing and gearboxes side of the business. So can you kind of update us about what's going on there?
Well, the gearing business in the U.S. is going through a fairly significant downturn, and we're experiencing that as well. It's a combination of the very weak oil and gas, which was a big consumer of gears, and mining. Both of those industries are down. And then on top of that, we have the strong dollar, which is causing more competition globally. Having said all that, our gearing business has been a cash neutral for the last couple of years, and that's because they're generating kind of small negative EBITDA, but then their inventories are coming down. So at this point, we're focused on both the wind energy and also steel. Both of those markets are pretty good. So we are looking for some recovery in the markets, but we're certainly not being complacent. We're continuing to focus on costs and also be a little bit more aggressive commercially.
Got it. And so from what you can, from Q2 2016, what were some of the key milestones for Broadwind Energy?
In terms of 2016, well, the announcement we just had, the biggest news is that we're back to being a positive operating income. So that's important. We've actually, rebuilt our backlog, so it's well over $200 million. So that's important as well. And we're hitting our cost targets. So those things are all really important for the company.
Great. And from what you can tell me, what are some of the goals and milestones for Broadwind Energy moving forward into Q3 and beyond?
So our focus is on continuing to stay on top of all of our production. We're doing some significant, what we call continuous improvement initiatives to keep improving the flow of the production through our plants, both our tower plants and our gearing plant as well. We are still working on cost and cost reduction. That's important. And we're just starting to do some strategic planning. We've been pretty tactical since I came into the job. And I think not that we can stop being tactical, but I think we have the luxury with a good visibility on the wind market now to start looking out a few years and say, okay, where's Broadwind going to go from here?
Got it. So where can our audience go and find more information about Broadwind Energy?
So our web, BWEN.com, Broadwind Energy. Please read up and feel free to ask us questions.
Stephanie, thank you so much for your time and for joining me today on this SNNLive Newscast. I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Okay, thanks very much.